What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I am Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And the Brograph Brocast is a podcast that goes with Brograph.com, which is a cinema 4D tutorial site. It's about motion graphics. It's about a little bit of technology, video, special effects, After Effects, everything MoGraph you can think of. A little bit of Nuke and a lot of the business end of it, as we did last week, if you listen to last week's episode.
I think April 15th, I was thinking about this, we should do a taxes only episode where we all talk, we just talk about taxes.
Well, yeah, but that's the day that you and I are leaving for NAB.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so then the week of the 15th, whatever that Sunday is, the 10th, we should do the taxes episode.
Yeah, and I don't know what we're going to be at NAB, so I mean, I guess no Sunday show.
No Sunday show. The 17th.
We want to do something live, but no, our wives will be with us.
Yeah, that's true.
But
maybe we'll do a Monday night show.
When our wives leave.
With a few of the other guys who have been saying that they're going to be there. Oh, that's a good idea.
That would be cool.
I wonder
how we can make that happen. We could
everybody, come to our hotel room. We've got something special for you.
Yeah, we've got the Yeti mic. We could get another Yeti.
No, I've got my Yeti. You bring the other Yeti.
We're
good to go.
Yeah, we got two Yetis, and we'll just shack up Monday night in the. And we'll just take one computer. We'll record both. I don't think that would be an issue, right?
Yeah, totally. I'll bring my laptop. That'll be good.
All right. With Logic, we'll get Logic up on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway,
so we're gonna do that. We'll talk about our first day at NAB.
That would be cool, dude. We could do like a update every night, maybe.
We could try. Well, you know what we should do is do a lot of video this year.
Yeah.
And we could do updates on video and talk about it. And then we'll splice it together into something cool when we're done.
Cool.
Yeah.
So look forward to that.
Yes. So I've been pretty busy, but I'm trying to get out. I have one tutorial in the pipeline that just needs to be released. But I'm waiting on the Phantom 3 thing.
Yeah.
I've been waiting on the Phantom 3 thing. It's out. I tried to go flying last week. It was too windy. Then it rained
all week.
And then we went out today, and it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds again. Yeah. So I haven't had a chance to even test the software, let alone make the tutorial. But first order of business, though.
Yeah.
Would you like to make an announcement?
Oh, yeah. So I officially gave my 2-week notice at my job on Tuesday.
Woo!
So in about a week and a half, I will be officially joining the ranks of Nexus Motion, our company, and Brograph, full-time.
Fully independent, yo. Hashtag crush it.
Hashtag crush it. Hashtag bring us some business. Hashtag I'm scared.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm super pumped. Super pumped. Like I knew I was going to leave. I was waiting for a couple of things to happen. They happened, and I was going to try and hold off until NAB, but I heard through the grapevine, we got this big project in, and everything's been so unorganized with it. And I heard through the grapevine someone say that if this stuff wasn't done on time correctly, that they were going to let us go. Like me and a couple other people. And it's just like, don't threaten me.
So you made it easy for him.
Yeah, I totally made it easy for him. So, yeah, they went into full panic mode, you know. That's all right.
Yeah, who are they giving the business to now?
Well, they brought in a freelancer, but here's the thing, like they expected me to be the 3D professional or the 3D expert, you know, and be able to tell all this stuff, tell them about 3D, and then they didn't like what I had to say.
Yeah.
So
I've been in that position many times.
They just stopped trusting anything that I said. Well, they brought in this freelancer, and he's basically telling them all the same stuff that I said. Right. And it's like, okay, sorry. You know, you guys didn't want to listen to me. It's all right.
So everybody's going to ask the same exact question. So
yeah, but no biggie. I mean, you know, the company's still a good company. They got one or two bad eggs working there. But they're going to they may even send us some work, which is nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, dog. So
out on
that's
my
gonna
own.
be
I'm
fun.
super pumped. Won't have 3 hours worth of driving every day to go to work, which is awesome. And we just switched my kid's daycare. It's literally right across the street from me instead of a 15-minute drive. So drop them off in the morning, hit the gym, come back, take a shower, get ready for work, all before I would have been to work at the other time. At the other place. So
nice. We got to get you into Camp Gladiator. You'd love it.
Yeah, I looked it up. There's not one around us. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was looking up
that's a
Clamp
shame.
Gladiator.
Camp
Clamp.
Gladiator. Yeah. I'm not traveling anymore, so I'm going on that full force, trying to get out.
Yeah.
From behind the computer. Because man, I've been in front of it a lot this week.
Yeah, dude, you spent what 4 15-hour straight days?
Yes.
Oh, that's awful.
15 hours. I mean, it to the point where, like, have you heard of people who do that alternative sleep method?
Yeah, it's like you sleep every like 4 hours or for like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in that mode almost.
Yeah.
Like, go to bed at 3, wake up at 7, do some work, take like a 15-minute nap at 11, get back to work at noon, have lunch, keep working, then about 3, take a 30-minute nap, and so on and so forth, and it's just like a big blur.
I had a buddy who said he did that in college. It was like you'd take a 15-minute nap every like 2 to 4 hours or something like that, but you'd have to take that nap then. He said it was the best sleep he's ever had in his life, and it was the most fulfilling way of sleeping. But
Really?
But it's not, it's not very convenient because you have to sleep for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get back to the exercising thing. I'm trying to, get out more. I'm trying to, now that you're going to be on board 100% like every day.
Yeah.
Like we can kind of like balance this workload. I can have some of my nights back a little bit. Cause it's really cool. We've got a lot of business and it's really exciting. But man,
we just picked up our one really big client for us, which is great.
Yep. That's good.
So that was one of the 2 things that I was waiting on.
Yeah, so we got some fun stuff coming up, and we'll probably have some good stories and some
Who
good
knows?
projects.
Maybe we'll start doing the podcast 2 times a week.
Oh gosh,
We'll do like a lunch podcast. That'd be cool. Like
the lunch podcast.
Yeah, it's like Brograph lunch podcast where we just say like on like Wednesdays or Thursdays. You go get lunch, I'll go grab lunch, and then we'll just talk during lunch, and you can hear us chew the whole time.
It would be like an ASMR podcast.
I don't know what that is.
Chewing.
Oh.
The
ASMR?
ASMR, the people that like to hear people chewing and like whispering in stereo.
I didn't know what that was. It was called.
Non-sexually, of course.
Right, of course.
But
or
maybe,
sexually,
maybe we can do stuff like maybe start just streaming on Twitch or something while we're both working.
Yeah.
With like a video window of both of us. I don't know. Like there's so many possibilities.
I wonder if we could do live streaming of both of us, like editing and working while we're on Skype. I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah, that might be cool.
Yeah, because I figured we could do that. Like we've got screens. Like if we're working together, we could just have Skype on.
Yeah, totally.
Of course, I'd have to put on pants.
I wouldn't.
I'm in that mode where I started being self-employed, getting dressed every day and whatnot. But even though I take my daughter to school, I come home and I put on the pajama pants.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Dude, I'm so uncomfortable in pajama pants.
But if I'm
except
going to be
for when
working,
sleeping.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, I'm so weird. Like, I was telling my wife, this is going to be the weirdest thing for me because I'm going to take my kid to school. I'm going to wake up, make breakfast, take my kid to school, go work out, and then come home and shower. Like, I have been in the routine for almost my entire life of wake up, take a shower. It wakes me up. So having to get up on my own, and just start doing stuff, that's going to be so weird to me. I may have to, like, take a shower and then do all my stuff and then take a second shower after my workout.
Yeah, I was going to say just take 2.
But then I'm, a waste of the environment.
Well, then take the one and then don't shower. Just be stinky all day.
Be stinky all day.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
So, I set up a Chromecast on my TV next to my desk, and while I'm working, today I was watching 6 Feet Under. I hear it's a really good show.
Nice. I was going to ask you about that, actually. Like, I've never... there's been people at jobs that I've had who actually will watch videos while they're working, and I'm huge into listening to audio.
Yeah.
If I'm working on a big 3D, I'll have music, but I listen to podcasts constantly, but I just haven't gotten into video. And I thought, now that I'm working on my own, that I might start watching videos or Netflix while I'm working, but I just haven't done it.
I'll say it's really easy if you've got something on that you already know, Like if you just throw on a movie that you've already seen, you already know what's happening and you can picture it in your mind, just by listening to it. I'll tell you the best thing just for audio, the best show just for audio is Arrested Development. Because, they've got a narrator the whole time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tobias.
That's pretty good. That sounded like him. So, they've got the narrator the whole time, and you kind of know what's going on. My wife and I, anytime we'd go out of town, sometimes we'll just throw that on over the speakers in our car, and we'll listen to a few episodes. It's pretty funny.
Well, we have an episode title.
Oh, Meanwhile
Tobias.
That's very good. Ding.
There it is.
All right.
All right. So, and I got that streaming box going with the Thunderbolt, the one from Black Magic.
Did it start like heating up and being crazy again?
No blinkies for me, man.
That's good.
A test. It's on our YouTube channel privately. If you want to go, specifically want to go see it, like what the quality was.
Yeah.
I was playing video. I was doing like 1080, 60. No, I was doing no. What was it? I don't know. The only thing I don't like about the box, you can't do 1080p. So when you set it to 1080i, you get interlaced, but you can do 720p.
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, if you're gonna stream online, you're gonna do 720p anyway. You can't.
That's not too bad.
It's too crazy, but it is nice because it keeps the workload off of the computer. Which that's the problem I have if I'm trying to use Octane and stream it. And record something at the same time. It's just the video card and the CPU, everything goes slow. So I've bought the other thing is you can't mirror to the box because then if you turn on mirroring, it's not from one screen, it's all your screens mirror. So all of a sudden I have 5 screens in a stream of all the same thing.
Right.
I actually bought a splitter box yesterday at Fry's.
Jeez.
And I did HDMI split in the whole thing. So, pretty insane how much I spent, like $500 at Fry's yesterday on a whim. It's ridiculous.
Jeez. Yeah, you bought a BB-8?
I bought the BB-8.
How do you like that?
It's pretty fun.
Is it?
It's a lot of fun. It's a cool little toy.
Yeah.
And what else did I
think
get?
the company who did that was like started out as a Kickstarter or something. I don't know.
Really?
Like, yeah, my wife went to some... it was a librarians conference or something in Austin, and she got to meet the company. The company was there who makes those, or what is it, Sphero or something, that make the Sphero balls, and like they wanted to focus on getting kids to learn to program and stuff like that. That's why they created it, which is kind of neat. But then you throw BB-8 there.
Yeah, he's fun. He's sitting on my desk right now. Even when he's charging. I mean, the packaging is like an iPhone thing, and you hold your phone up to him when you get him out of the box, and it just hooks up to him and uploads firmware wirelessly just by putting your phone in front of him.
That's super cool.
And
I bought a little 1 inch or 1 foot tall spinning Yoda thing. I saw it at Christmas. It was like $180. I was like, no way. They had it on sale for $50. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that now.
I've been the same way with this. I've seen it 100 times, and finally Christy's just like, just get it.
That's funny.
So I got that, the splitters, the cables. I got an HDMI splitter box because I redid the theater room, and I have all these HDMI things now, and I don't have a receiver that has HDMI. So between that and like buying cables, and we bought some 3D glasses, and we bought a 3D movie because we wanted to try that out on the projector because I've never done 3D before.
How'd it turn out?
Well, I got the wrong glasses.
Ah,
So we don't know. I have some on order. And here's the thing. I know nothing about 3D. I
you
don't
got the
like
red, blue,
3D.
anaglyphic, didn't you?
No. Gosh. No, I got passive glasses, not knowing what it was. I said, these might not be right, but they're only $3.
Right.
The alternative is
So
the
are they
really
the-
expensive ones.
Are the passive glasses, are those the ones that basically have the same color in the same eye or whatever in each eye? So
I think
that you don't
so.
see 3D?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how it is.
It's basically they're just film, like film in these cheap glasses,
Yeah.
and they can sell them for $3. The other ones, the DLP active glasses, actually have a battery in them.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, and they actually have like a sensor thing in them, so they're.
Are
like,
those the ones that like
It's like what you have.
switch, like actually close
Yeah, they shutter.
off? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That was, I don't know. During the time in which I was looking at 3D stuff, that was always my favorite. But you know, I
Yeah.
wear glasses, and that's one reason I hate 3D and going to see
Right.
3D, because you have to put glasses on top of my regular glasses. It's just stupid. I went and saw it was a few years ago at NAB, the red cameras and stuff like that. They had this 3D movie and stuff, and they give out these glasses, and they're like Oakleys. And I'm like, I can't wear these. I have glasses. I have regular
Yeah.
glasses. How am I supposed to wear these? So like I had to put my regular glasses on top of these Oakleys, those 3D Oakley glasses, and I got this weird like, I don't know, like rainbowy prism thing from having it in there too. It was awful.
Right. Well, see, that's what all the new theaters are doing now, is they're just doing the passive glasses.
Mm-hmm.
They're all doing, the cheap ones, and you can take them or leave them. But for a while, some of these places were doing the really nice ones with the shutters, and everybody says they're better.
They are
but they're
better.
expensive.
They're much better.
They're
The
like
3D, like, and it looks great. And I don't think you have to worry about the same problem of like it's one reason why I don't like 3D movies, is because you're putting glasses over, so it kind of makes it darker instead of like being able to see all the light. And if you go like a lot of movies with like big effects and stuff like this, I noticed this on the Avengers, and I noticed this on like the last Harry Potter movie, I believe. Like they're trying to bust out these movies so fast that in order to hide some of the mistakes in the 3D and the CG and stuff like that, they make them darker, like really, really dark, almost to where you can't see. So you're doing that on top of running 3D glasses. It's like you can't even enjoy the movie.
Yeah. Well, the movie that we got is the Lego movie.
Oh, that would be a good one to watch.
Yeah. I was
Nice.
like, okay, we're going to do 3D. We got to do something good.
Yeah.
So,
Man, I love the Lego movie.
but see, the glasses they range in price. And I don't know, there's probably a reason that they're more expensive or whatever. I'm sure we'll get an email about it or something. But here's the thing. Like, I'm not going to spend $100 on a pair. Like, some of them are $100 at Fry's.
And
so I was like,
you have to buy one for you. You have to buy one for your daughter. You have to buy one for your wife.
Right.
And if other people are coming over to watch it.
right.
Ugh.
So I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to take a chance that it's the $3 glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And I updated the PlayStation because you have to update the PlayStation to play the movie, because the encryption key has to be updated because Blu-ray, BS, whatever.
Yeah.
Blu-ray encryption keys, update the thing. Just all this rigmarole. I spent like an hour updating, and then it didn't work. And I'm like, okay. So I found $16 glasses on Amazon.
That's not
we'll
bad.
see how they work.
Okay.
And it says specifically they work with BenQ projectors.
Oh, cool.
So
Very cool.
I'm hoping that it works. I don't know.
Good luck with that. Let me know how the Lego movie comes out.
I know nothing about 3D because I don't like 3D movie stuff.
3D was really big at NAB probably like 5 years ago or something. Man, everyone was doing 3D. And they even had the 3D cameras. They had professional like stereographers there, answering your question. Everyone was doing 3D, and like the next year, nothing.
Right.
No one was touching it.
And I knew
Then
that
it was
would
all
happen.
4K.
Yeah, 4K and drones.
Oh, drones are the big thing. Drones were the big thing last year when we were there.
I can't wait. They're going to have a Phantom 4 there, I bet.
Yeah, I'm sure. Can you not buy it yet? When's it coming out?
If it's a yearly thing, it'll probably come out right after NAB.
Nice.
But I can't. I can't do the yearly $1,600 purchase.
Yeah, I know.
Can't do it. I don't know, man.
Well, we're just gonna have to find a client who needs drone footage and then work that into the price somehow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I used some of it today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did.
So my daughter said she wanted to go to the moon because my brother got her this giant space pod made out of cardboard that you have to put together.
How long did that take you to put together?
Well, Christy did most of it because I was out of town.
Okay.
But it took a long time.
Yeah. And that thing's gigantic.
It won't fit through the door. There's no way to store it. First of all, there's no place to store it. Second of all, there's no way to get it through the door to store it without taking it apart. I even saw a friend on Facebook post today. They built the same thing. So I was like, hey, we just did that. But it comes with a spacesuit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I thought you bought those separately.
I think it does. I don't know. Maybe they bought it separately. Anyway, it comes with the spacesuit. And so she put on the spacesuit and she gets in and she's like, I want to go to the moon. And so I'm like, okay, well, we'll do a thing where we go to the moon. So like I've been thinking about it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a video. So I make a video. It starts out in our neighborhood with Google Earth. And then I cut to drone footage that I already had from the neighborhood of like going up. So it looks like spaceships taking off. And then I do cloud footage, and then I went into Octane and made like little planet Earth thing in the clouds and flies to the moon and lands on the moon and a picture of an astronaut standing on the moon. Did the whole Gustav Holst planets in the background for the audio, and then went to NASA.gov and got a whole bunch of different sounds of them saying things that corresponded with what was going on there, and projected it on the wall so she looks out the window and she can see the thing happening. And I put a lot of sub bass in there. I put a subwoofer, so it's like rumbling her space pod, and this whole video of her going to outer space. So
that's really awesome.
It was fun.
Man, I'm looking at this link that you sent me, the space pod, like global images or whatever, the planetary maps. That's cool. So
they on NASA, it's called Steve's something or other. I think Steve's page or
Steve Albers.
It's on NASA.gov, I think, or no, it's NOAA.
NOAA, yeah.
He took NASA.gov stuff and he's making these spherical unwraps of these images. And so I put them in the show notes because I came across them today. And if you're interested in doing some sort of space video of your own, you can put those maps onto spheres and it's work
cool.
Really
you
well.
Got Mercury, Venus,
Wait for
Jupiter.
Wait for it.
Europa.
Wait for it. Do they
Titan?
Do they have an unwrap of?
Nope, they don't.
I was gonna say Pluto.
Well, Pluto's not a planet.
I know. Well, they can still have an unwrap of it.
Yeah, no, they don't. Dude, today, I was selling, just to kind of get completely off of
That's all I had to say about that anyway.
Completely off a subject. I sold I had a big armoire, that I sold. And I used the app 5 Miles, to try and sell it. Man, that app's stupid. I mean, it's no different than Craigslist, and I actually like Craigslist more than I do 5 Mile. I had someone message me, and they wanted to come pick it up and buy it from me. So, I'm like, okay, but make sure and bring 2 guys with you because it is really heavy. Implying that I don't want to help this person carry this at all because I have already done all the legwork and I never want to carry it again. Man, she shows up with 2 trucks, 2 small trucks, and 2 90-year-old people.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I was so mad because I basically had to carry all of it. And I sold $1,000 piece of furniture for $60.
God. Yeah, that was worth it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, anyway.
Hey, did you get your iRate invite?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did.
I got mine too. I haven't tried.
Yeah, I haven't done anything with it. I haven't had time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. We're gonna try out iRay soon. Hopefully.
Soon.
Yeah.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
I got a cool screen cap program this week called Screen Ninja.
Okay.
and it's pretty cool because like I've got screen cap software, but
we use ScreenFlow, right?
We use ScreenFlow, but the problem is you have it sit there and record these giant video files of what you're doing. If you want to do a time lapse, this is a lot better because it will do actual snapshots.
Oh yeah. You were telling me about this.
I basically tell mine to do 1 frame a second. So every 30 minutes, or wait, every 30 seconds, basically.
No, one frame
a second. So when you get 60 seconds, that's
1 minute,
2 seconds of footage.
You said 1 frame every minute, or 1 frame every second.
1 frame a second.
Right. So 60 frames equals 1 second. How are you not getting this?
Right. I'm talking about when you play it back.
Oh, okay.
When you play it back, 60 frames is 2 seconds.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So it takes 1 minute and turns it into 2 seconds.
Okay.
So I really like it though because you can do multiple screens and it does each screen as a separate MP4.
Why is it doing an MP4? Why isn't it just doing like JPEGs or something?
Well, you might be able to set it yourself, but I like it as a movie because when you're done, you have the movies.
Okay.
But it will
and you don't have to actually make it yourself.
Right. You just do the time lapse yourself. And I do that. It's actually pretty slow when you play it back, but then you can just speed it up in Premiere or something if you need to. But then you have the separate windows. So like when I'm doing time lapses before, ScreenFlow only does one window. So this, and I would have to put Octane in my main window for people to see it.
Wait,
now
ScreenFlow
I can move
only does
Octane.
one window?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I can move Octane in my regular window now, and I can move things around, and you can have your webcam go at the same time, so it can record you as well. And the cool part about it is that you can set it to specific apps. So you can tell it only record Cinema 4D, don't record, all my other garbage on my desktop or my chat windows, so I don't have to edit anything out. And then also you can tell it when you flip out of Cinema to pause. So like if you got to go do something else, answer your emails, it just stops recording. So if you're sitting there going back and forth on a project all day, it just records. And then if you leave Cinema open by accident, you can tell it to idle out after a certain amount of time. So if I'm not using my computer for 5 minutes, it'll stop recording.
That's cool.
And then it just starts back up as soon as you move the mouse again.
That's super cool.
So I did a time lapse of like 7.5 hours this week.
Nice.
Did you see it?
I want to say I saw some of it. Okay. I don't know if I watched all of it.
So it was pretty fun. I think I accidentally hit the wrong button and I recorded one screen and the main part of my build, which is the part I really wanted to see in the time lapse. So hopefully I've got some projects coming up soon. I'm just going to keep running them all the time. Might as well. And just have time lapses all the time of stuff. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that is fun.
If we were doing one of our collaborative things, we could have our cameras going. It could be recording both of us at the same time.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Being able to see, then just do a split screen at the end.
Yeah.
That's neat. Yeah.
And then...
Word.
And I wanted to, speaking of which, talk about Turbo Squid. Because I have purchased things from Turbo Squid before, but very small amounts of stuff, right?
I've purchased a lot from Turbo Squid.
And do you have problems with them?
Sometimes.
Because I've had a streak of bad luck with them. In the last 2 weeks, I've had 4 different models that were just giant pains.
Yeah.
Stuff doesn't come with any textures, and they're like, well, the model says it doesn't have any textures. I'm like, look at the screenshots. Clearly, there are textures on this model.
Yeah.
That's false advertising.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's the user can put their own stuff up there and they can say whatever, and they're always lit really well, but they don't always include the lighting and stuff like that. I had this one, it was a interior scene, and man, this is where everything went wrong in my job. Everything went on a downward slope from this point, all because they wanted a Turbo Squid one. It was in 3ds Max, but it said it was Cinema as well. I opened it up in Cinema and I rendered it, and it looked nothing like the one in 3ds Max.
Right.
So I spent literally days trying to make it look like the one in 3ds Max, and they're like, well, this doesn't look real, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. it was Fabular's fault. That was the guy who did it.
Yeah,
So-
and that's the thing too, is it'll say, C4D compatible. And it's like, yeah, because you have a 3DS file, an OBJ, and FBX in there.
Right.
But none of them have the correct mappings.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they do, it's just to empty textures without anything in them, and you got to relink everything. But I had some bad ones, man. I had one last month where it was a cooler.
Uh-huh.
It was like a really, really nice, what do you call them? What's the name of
Yeti
those?
coolers?
No, not the Yeti. What's the other major brand? It's been around forever.
Coleman?
Coleman.
Okay.
Real nice giant Coleman cooler. Like, just looked absolutely incredible. And I download the thing and I open it up, and it's one of those crappy fishing coolers that you get with the handle. You can carry it with one hand.
Oh.
Got a completely different model.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then I had some other things I did. I had some problems with some stuff
Here's the
last
thing,
week.
like,
I had
the people aren't looking at these. Like,
Yeah,
the
but
company is not looking at them.
But
I don't
the
think.
ones that have the little stamp on them that say verified, like verified awesomeness model.
Yeah.
Like the one the pool table I got this week, I'm trying to open it in Max, and none of the textures even in Max are mapped correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, if I see this thing and I open it up, I expect the textures to work out of the box.
Out of the box.
I'm paying $80 for a model of a pool table.
Yeah.
I expect it to be a pool table. I can model a pool table myself.
Yeah.
I can model all this stuff myself. The point is, I'm paying money for convenience.
Yep.
Because it would take me more than an hour to model a really, really nice pool table. And so I would rather pay $80 and bill it to the client. Because it saves me time and I just move on. I can convert the textures over to Octane or whatever. They gave me all this hard time about the pool table. Then I had another one.
See, that's weird. The one time that I had a problem where, like, the person just didn't include the textures, didn't include the texture maps at all, and so I emailed them and I'm like, dude, this doesn't have any texture maps. And they're like, okay, we'll contact the person. And they did within a day, and then I had to download it. But the fact that they didn't even check that it had maps at all was kind of crappy.
Well, the problem is it's too late. Sometimes you're working on a project and in the moment you need something right then. And that's what happened with the pool table. They contact me 12 hours later, then we go through all of this, then I send them 2 more emails, they don't get back to me. I'm like, guys, like I could have hit render on this last night if this would have worked.
Yeah.
And now I can't hit render until tonight. So you've pushed me back a day because of this $80 model that you can't get me the right thing. Now, I had another one. I downloaded a deal, and all the different pieces of it were there, except like all like the FBX and the OBJ and all the different. But I didn't want that. I wanted the max file, and the max file RAR would not unrar.
Yeah.
It would say this is damaged or corrupt.
That's stupid.
And so I sent him a thing. I said, all the other ones open, but here's a screenshot. It says file damaged or corrupt. And he sends me something back. He's like, opens fine on my end. Here's a link so you could download it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He repacked it. I downloaded it, same problem. He just sent me the link to what I already downloaded. Like, no, dude. Are you on Mac or PC? He's like, I'm on PC. I'm like, well, there's the problem. It's not opening on, what do you call it? On Stuff It Expander.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you just zip this for me? No response. Another email, just zip it for me. No response. Have to call them. Then they do it on the phone. I'm like, come on, yo. Then yesterday, working on another project. This is the streak, right? Because it's like, come on, Turbo Squid. And in all these emails, I'm like, come on, guys. Like, this is like ridiculous. I keep getting this. So I spend $39 because I desperately needed a Samsung tablet. I have Samsung phones, I have iPhones, I have iPhone tablets. The only thing, and I could have called you. You probably have one, I know.
No, I've only got the
Note.
The Note
S6.
4 and the GS6.
Yeah.
So,
but I was like, I need the tablet now. We pay the $39, bill it to the client, will be good. I open the thing and it's completely segmented. And I'm like, oh, well, that's just because. And then you look and it shows the segment, you turn on the hypernerbs and it fixes everything. The problem is the middle piece where the little button is and where the USB is on the bottom just goes to complete hell. when you turn on subsurface.
And was this
Or what do you call
originally a C4D file, or was it Max?
It was everything.
Oh, okay.
In fact, this is one that actually I searched specifically for a C4D file because I wanted the mapping so I could just remap them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you, I call it not subsurface. What is it? Yeah.
Hypernerbs, but it's not Hypernerbs anymore.
No, it's not Hypernerbs anymore.
S-
No, it was never Hypernerbs. That's Max.
No, Hypernerbs. Yeah, it was Hypernerbs, wasn't it? It was Hypernerbs.
Oh, maybe it was. Subdivision surface.
Subdivision surface. Yeah, they changed that in what, 16 or something?
Yeah, they changed it to just that. So I was like, well, look at this. Like, look at the picture. And they show a picture, and you see the smooth edges, the rounded edges, and everything looks totally fine. But even the bottom of the screen was all jacked up. And there were screwed up pieces, and the geometry was all cruddy. And I'm like, I wrote him something. I said, oh my gosh, I've had so many problems with models recently. This model is pure garbage. So the point of buying this is because I need it now. I need it right now. And I spend the money and I get this model, and I'm not going to sit here fixing your bad geometry when you had the seal on it that says 100%, polygon guarantee or whatever. I'm like, you didn't even look at this. Because if you looked at it, you would have noticed that it needed smoothing, and you that's what it's, smoothing groups? Is that what it is in Max, or whatever it is?
Yeah, I think it's just smoothing or something.
Whatever it is, you need to be able to turn that on, and everything looks good, and it doesn't. And so, 24 hours goes by. In the meantime, I was like, I'm done with it. I said, I want my money back. Right in that email, I said, I want my money back. I want to do the refund because I've gotten some refunds already on the other ones. I said, just issue me the refund, and I bought another one right away, and it was great. It was fine. And I get an email back today, 24 hours later. I'm done with the project, and the guy's like, well, here, I fixed it for you, and here's a link to it. I'm like, dude, I said I want my money back. I already bought another one. Look at my account. So I'm not lying to you. I'm not trying to fraud you.
Yeah.
And just keep telling you I want my money back, and I'm using the models. Like, I bought another model, so, I'm trying to figure out if I've just had a bad streak or if this is just how Turbo Squid is going to be.
I don't know. I have bought a lot of models, and I'll tell you, I've only had a handful. I mean, I almost always have to do some sort of texture change or something. It never comes out exactly like it looks, unless I'm buying it specifically for C4D and they include all their lighting and stuff like that. So, I don't know. And here's the thing, like, a lot of the time, and I just discovered this a couple weeks ago, and this is actually on our notes, a new plugin. It's not new. It's been around for a while. It's called Max to C4D. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. So Max to C4D, I have been using it lately because I was looking for a really simple way to bring Max stuff over to Cinema 4D without having to export an FBX. And then, because for some reason, every time I export an FBX and then bring it into Cinema, it only does one material. So I've got to create all the materials again, and then it maps it correctly, but then I've got to figure out which is which kind of sucks. But Max to C4D, it's awesome because you can basically just click a button, and then it'll say, okay, you're good to go. Now you can import it into Cinema 4D, and then you click import, and it gives you the option, either you can import it as V-Ray materials or standard C4D materials, which is awesome because if you're using Octane, you can just convert the materials. But with Octane, you will have to do a little bit of work because specular materials or whatever act a completely different way. Like if you do specular materials in Octane, it kind of makes it glass versus like shiny, and specular in V-Ray is shiny materials instead of glass ones. Those are refractive or whatever,
And I used it once this week. So,
yeah,
bad.
and I really like it. The best part about it is that it's only $20.
Hold on a second, dude. Hold on.
Sure.
Sorry, I was checking on security. Had a little security thing outside. I was nervous about. All right, we're good. So, yeah, I used Max to C4D this week on your computer.
Yeah.
Because
and it's only here's okay. Like I was saying, here's the great thing about it. It's only $20. But the bad part about it, the biggest downside is that you have to not only own Max, but you have to own Cinema 4D and Max.
Right.
In order to use it.
Right, because they're
Which is a
actually.
shame.
It's not like it's not the plugin that you can just convert the file. You have to
Correct.
go export in one program, import in the other. But I screen shared to your computer, and I was able to get a couple things converted, which wasn't bad, like that pool table.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing is, you got all these V-Ray models on Turbo Squid.
Yeah.
So
and I've got a ton of V-Ray models.
So you bring them in as V-Ray, you convert them to Cinema, and then you tell it to import as regular textures, and then you convert those regular textures to Octane.
Here's something that's interesting that you may not know. Did you know Octane for Macs actually, because V-Ray is used so often, they're able to convert V-Ray textures as well?
Yeah, you
mentioned that before.
You mentioned that before. That's something. Hopefully, they add that to.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but the crappy thing about Octane and Max is if you do like a convert to Octane materials or whatever, if you have a multi-sub-object material, it won't convert it, which almost everything is a multi-sub-object material.
What is a multi-subject
if I
material?
Understand it correctly.
Is that a V-Ray thing or a Max thing?
That's a Max thing. It's a Max thing.
Okay.
So a multi-sub-object material is, and I could be totally wrong on this, but this is just the way I understand it because I'm kind of a noob when it comes to 3ds Max. So say you create a cube and you've got like 6 sides on each side and you want, a different color for each polygon, Basically, you're creating a multi-sub-object material. It's one material that is on that the cube, but it is telling it what each polygon should be colored.
Right.
So instead of doing like a selection tag or something like that, and then it telling that, and you've got multiple materials on the same thing, it's just one material that is made up of a whole bunch of different materials.
Maybe kind of similar to layering in Cinema in a way, kind of.
No.
I don't know. It's been so long. Like I don't remember Max.
Yeah.
Like at this point, like I don't remember much about it.
So,
it's
but
been too long.
Most of the time you're going to use multi-sub-object materials in Max. Almost always for a lot of stuff you use it. So anytime you're going to have multiple objects, but Max to C4D handles it no problem. It's really nice. And it imports that stuff and like it looks almost exactly to a T what it looked like in Max if you're importing the V-Ray versions.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really good. Like I've brought in full pre-made scenes that were in V-Ray in Max and brought them over to Cinema 4D and it almost looks exactly the same.
You should do a comparison and post it or something.
Sure.
It'd be really cool to see.
Yeah, I can do that. So, anyway.
You had mentioned a while back about watts versus lumens in V-Ray.
Yeah, I don't know. And it was at the time I said, okay, remember, let's talk about this. And then it's been 2 weeks and now I hardly remember it at all. But what's interesting is they're two totally different things. One thing I really like about V-Ray is that you can use lights like you would in the real world. So say you've got say you're doing photography or interior lighting and you're lighting like you would lighting in real life. You can change
IRL.
Yeah, IRL. You can change your watts to say you're using like a 1K or a 650 or a 350. This is what we use in video. I don't know if it's the same in the photography world, but I can set my watts to 350, 600, blah, blah, blah. But it's not the same with lumens. Lumens is a whole heck of a whole bunch more,
About 350.
Yeah, about 350. So, you know, what's neat is you can, if you know what kind of lights you're using, you can either switch it to watts or you can do like a watts to lumens calculator on Google. Just kind of switch it over. I don't know. I think that's where I was going with the, hey, let's talk about this.
Right.
But, I mean, that's one thing that I really like about V-Ray versus Octane. Like, Octane is just kind of like, how much do you want to use? You know, how much power?
Yeah.
It's not a direct correlation between watts and lumens. It's just power, you know?
Right. And the power can vary if it's normalized or not, or surface brightness is on or not.
I hate normalized. I hate normalized
Why
lights.
do you hate normalized?
I just do. Because I like to be able to control how much light. I like to be able to see where parts are blown out and not have it choose, you know. I almost always turn off normalized.
Yeah, because it starts adjusting the other lights based on what new lights you put in the scene. So
correct.
It happened to me this week. I put 3 track lights in, and I accidentally left normalize on, and then I put 3 lights above the pool table. And then once I got into the scene to render, all of a sudden the lights on the wall weren't bright anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I turn off
ones.
normalize almost all the time.
Yeah.
Unless I'm like only doing like one light and like an HDRI, then I'll leave it on.
I mean, I can see where it would come in handy. I get it, but yeah.
Interior scenes and stuff like that, you know, I almost always leave normalize off
because I like being able to.
Yeah, and they're on by default. So anyway. Well,
I found a couple glitches, I think, this week.
In the new Octane?
Yeah, well, in Octane and Cinema.
Oh, really?
Now...
Is this where your Turbo Squid problem comes into?
No.
I'm just joking.
The one thing that I did find in Octane, this was really weird yesterday, and my wife actually figured out the problem. Because I was working on the Samsung tablet. And so I had converted those textures over in Octane on the tablet. And of course I hit render and nothing happens. Well, it's because Turbo Squid doesn't check file paths for anything, and they're all set to, you know, Z drive / you know, some Russian name / you know, check off something or other, you know, fold, you know, and then some models folder. And I'm like, do you not normalize, like localize your paths when you are exporting a model?
Yeah, you know, and I'll anytime I'm exporting a project, I'll just save as with assets. That's what I do.
Right, exactly. Now, see, that wasn't the problem, but that started the problem because I had to go in and I had to localize everything. Well, everything was set to a JPEG file because they had done the textures as JPEGs. So I got it all done. Now, normally, because especially when you're using mixed textures, you can't copy and paste an object into another scene because you will lose all your mixed textures.
Yeah.
Your dependencies. So usually I just do a merge and everything is fine. Well, this time around, I didn't have any mixed textures. I just had like the screen was and a couple other things were the only things, like the Samsung logo were the only things that were on that model. I'm like, I can copy and paste this model. So I copy and I paste it into my scene. And I hit render. And there's no textures. I'm like, well, what is it? Just worked. It was 2 seconds ago in the other scene. And my textures, they're in the same relative folder, in the text folder. So I'm like, what is going on? So then I go to my my image texture within Octane, and I look, and I have the file name sitting there completely localized. And I'm like, wait, this is texture error. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like hitting refresh and nothing's happening. Texture error. What is the problem? And so that's when Christy walks in and she's looking at the screen, and I'm like, look, I have the file here. It's over here. It's in the right directory. I hit refresh. She's like, well, that says PNG. I'm like, what? But they were JPEGs. I go back to the original. They're JPEG files. Somehow copying everything from Octane from one project to another, the extensions of all my textures changed to PNG.
Weird.
And I was like, okay, well, I think I found a glitch. Maybe it's an Octane 3 glitch.
Maybe.
So I need to go back and try it and submit a bug report.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's probably something nobody's come across yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the other...
speaking of like missing textures and stuff like that, I want to open up my Cinema 4D because there's a thing... So I ran into that problem where they had put, you know, absolute paths or localized paths or whatever. And there's actually something that you can do that I saw. I Googled and came across a Sage of Shadows comment where he was talking about, like, you can actually go in and see all the paths and just individually change them.
Right, to localized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Well, I don't know. We didn't talk about it on the show because this was years ago, but there is that problem. Like if you have a texture in Cinema called logo dot, what is it? Logo dot,
I don't know.
PSD or dot JPEG or something, and you team render it. If there's something in there that says the word logo, it uses, like, I remember I would do a team render and like the stuff from the other machines would be this weird image that I had never seen before.
I don't remember that.
Within the logo. And it turned out that because I was using that same name of that localized file, it was pulling it from the Cinema 4D library from some project that had a logo.png in it.
Oh, geez.
It's so crazy.
Huh.
That's a weird glitch.
Yeah.
But
word. Well, that's cool. You should try and get that on video. Send it to him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe they fixed it now, but
maybe.
The other thing that I found was that this is another weird glitch, and it's not Octane. It's in Cinema. Is very rarely do I have to go move like 2 or 3 objects at the same time that are in different places. You know, not within one null or. Right. So like this happened to me twice this week. I had like a couple objects within a null selected. Then I had like one object out here selected, and they had different relative orientations.
So when you move something one way, like one of them moves like up.
Right.
Yeah.
So of course, just like with rotation, the simple thing around that is you have to have that check mark box for per object manipulation. On, and it happens to me all the time with rotation, because sometimes I do want to rotate everything, and sometimes I want to rotate each one individually. So I use that box all the time. But in the move tool, that doesn't happen to me that much. And so I'm in the move tool, and I'm looking, and per object manipulation is turned off, but it's still acting as if it's there. Well,
see,
finally,
I just turn it into, like, instead of local mode or whatever, I put it into world mode, and then it's fine.
Right, that'd probably work too. But I think my stuff was like turned at an angle, and like it was very, very specialized what I was doing, but I had to move these pieces together, even though they weren't in the same null. And I couldn't, because one of them was a bool within something else, cutting out a hole for another one, that I had to keep everything exactly the same. It was really complicated, and they had to be in different places. And so they would move differently. I'm like, what is the deal? And I would check and uncheck again the per object manipulation box, and it would start working again.
Weird.
So if you have that problem with the move tool, that's what it is for some reason it thinks that it's checked and it's not, and you're like resetting it by double checking it.
I always just put it into world mode instead of local mode or whatever.
Well, that only works if you're going to go exactly back on X, Y, or Z. But if something is oriented anything besides like 0 degrees, that wouldn't work.
No, I think it would.
Well, if you do world, it would have to go back on Z. What if your objects are oriented, you don't want them to go that way?
Yeah, but it's just changing the, I don't know.
So anyway. that's another thing that came up. But let's see, what else do we have on the list? Oh, you were looking into hardware boxes for Octane.
Yeah, eGPUs. I'm interested in that, So here's the thing, we're going to be working for ourselves, which is awesome. And so I was thinking, most of the time I'm going to be working from home. I'm going to be doing that. So, I mean, I don't necessarily have to work from my house. I could, because my folks live in Hawaii right now. My dad, he works for hotel companies, renovating hotels and stuff like that. So right now he's going to be in Honolulu for like 6 months or something like that. So I'm like, well, we should go visit him. It's not often that you have someone living in Honolulu that you can just go stay with, I was like, well, I don't really want to lug my giant, box with me. And Octane hasn't updated Octane 3 yet to where we could buy a trash can, which that's another thing I'd like to talk about. So I'm looking into some external GPU boxes, something that I can just easily take with me, like on a plane, so that I can work off my laptop, you know?
Right.
So that's what I'm looking into. And it's just some of the solutions are really pretty expensive, you know? And you could almost buy a whole nother computer with the cost that you're looking at. I don't know. So your thoughts?
Yeah, it's basically, you might as well build an Octane monster for the same price. That's kind of the dilemma that keeps coming up. And now the portability, of course, is going to be there. Kind of. I mean, but it's really that, like, by the time you add everything up, you got to get a seat for it anyway. You got to get the license for it anyway.
Well, that's if you're not using your home computer. You know, you could just
that's true. You
deauthorize yours and then just put it on your laptop, you know.
But the same applies if you just built another one. But I don't know. It's to me, like, that's originally when I was first looking at building these. Way back in the day, I was like, well, can you get a box that's just PCI cards and Thunderbolt and then plug them into a Mac trash can? And I went down this whole road and I found some different alternative methods. You were talking to, what's the guy's name? Tom's Hardware. Tom Glintz,
something like that. Glimpse, I believe.
And it was basically the same thing. He was putting out numbers that are equivalent to what it would cost to just buy a 2009 or 2010 Mac, and just do that instead. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's still not a good.
I was looking up, and Alienware has this cool external GPU type thing, but I think it's proprietary only to their computers, and I don't want to buy an Alienware computer, an Alienware laptop in order to run it.
It's so overpriced. You're paying for the brand.
Yeah. That's what you're doing with Apple, though, too.
Yeah, but Alienware, it's like when you could just build the components yourself.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. Apple's different because it's Apple. Well, you can't buy you can't build a Mac on your own. And
no, you can't.
Don't give me
that's what I don't necessarily like about Apple. I wish my laptop that I rebuilt or whatever. Did I talk about that last week? That I put the SSD in my you did. And it's smoking fast, by the way. Awesome. So, but I like that I can do that. If I were to buy any other one but the bottom of the line MacBook Pro, you can't do that.
Right.
So,
and it's getting harder and harder to do.
Harder and harder. Yeah, they actually just. I read a Gizmodo article or something like that where you can finally now replace the solid state memory or the solid state stuff.
Yeah, and everybody gives them a hard time about that, and they say it's to make it proprietary so you can't change it.
Well, yeah, it is.
Is it though?
Yeah,
or are they
is.
just trying to build all the circuits into one board? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, they're trying to save space, yes, to try and get their stuff thinner. But I mean, add an extra 2 millimeters to my computer and give me the ability in order to, change stuff out for all I want. It's just kind of stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, look at their new laptops with only one Thunderbolt port and nothing else, not even a USB.
No, you're talking about the USB-C one?
Yeah, USB-C, that's what it is.
Yeah, that is really stupid.
It's like it's not like they're trying to do it on purpose so you can't upgrade it or do your own thing. They literally want to make it so thin.
Yeah, but who cares about thin?
Why
does that matter?
I know. They think that it matters.
It doesn't matter to me at all.
My iPhone 6 is so thin I can't hold it. I have to have a case.
Yeah, I was going to say my iPhone, it doesn't matter because I've got it in a case anyway. And it adds almost twice the width of the case.
Yeah, and
especially if you're going to put it on an OtterBox to make sure that it doesn't, you're adding 4 times the width of the case.
Yeah, I got a Mophie. My iPhone 6 weighs like a pound. It really does. I hold my wife's iPhone even in the case, and I'm like, man, this is small and light.
Yeah.
But like who cares about thinness anymore?
Yeah.
Like just allow us to update some things.
Yeah. Real computers
just-
and real phones have curves.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's all because of this consumer crap. That's
and
really what
they're
it is.
talking about getting rid of the headphone jack on the new iPhone so that they can make it thinner. I was just like, oh, now you're adding in another proprietary thing where you've got to have the stupid, plug in order to run your headphones as well.
No, you just have Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah, well,
I don't use a headphone jack in my phone. Actually.
I do in my car. I don't have Bluetooth in my car.
I do.
What do you think I am, rich?
It's $15 to get a headphone to Bluetooth adapter.
Yeah, but those things suck. It's okay, but it doesn't work as well as like just having an actual Bluetooth in your car. And doing that, here's the problem. I own a Jeep, and so I like having my Jeep stock on like all sorts of stereo stuff, because if if you own a Jeep, it's going to get broken into,
Right.
And I always leave, probably shouldn't say this. I always leave my car doors unlocked.
Yeah.
Because
that makes sense.
Because I would rather someone open my door instead of cutting my window,
Yeah.
It's like I leave my car doors unlocked. I just make sure that nothing important is ever in there.
Right.
So
I don't know how you do that, 'cause sometimes I gotta leave stuff in my car. Not like,
oh man, if I've got it, I will take stuff in with me in like very awkward situations to make sure that I don't have it with me, Or occasionally I'll lock my Jeep, but I don't like locking my car. I've actually never liked locking my
you
car.
run into the grocery store, but you just came from a meeting and you put your laptop in the trunk.
I take my laptop with me.
Yeah,
I will absolutely take it with me. Well, because I've got a backpack. I don't have like a shoulder satchel,
Right.
I have a shoulder satchel. I just don't use it.
We were working on these projects together this week, going back and forth between multiple computers using Octane 3.
Mm-hmm.
We've been using Octane 3 in production, even though they say, don't use this because it's alpha, use it at your own risk.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can always go back to 2 if we have to, but
yeah,
we've been trying it. It's been working pretty well.
Yeah, I don't like that. I feel like the preview textures just kind of suck, and they got to work that.
Oh, did you
out.
notice the problem that I was talking about?
Yeah, totally.
Where they glitch out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just don't look crisp, and you can't really tell what it is,
Mine glitch and like have all these black blobs in them and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they'll work that out.
Yeah, probably. So
I've had some lockups in certain situations.
Yeah, it was super crashy on me a few weeks ago, or maybe like a week ago or something. But like when I'm at home, I work Octane 3. When I'm at work, I'm Octane 2.
Yeah, but it's the same types of crashes where like you hit render and you turn on Octane Viewer, and it's like viewing something, and you move something big, and then you hit undo, and then it's trying to think, oh my gosh, what did you just do, and it crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Or the crash that always still happens even in 3 to this day, if you hit an actual start an actual render, like not your viewport but the actual shift R, do the real render to picture viewer, you start it, and then the thing starts calculating, and then you realize, oh crap, I forgot to do this thing, I got to cancel it. If you cancel it while it's doing its geometry calculation before it actually is doing the actual render, it will lock up 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but if you are canceling a render during calculation,
I think that has to do
screwed.
something with Cinema 4D, because it does that to me on V-Ray as well.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like a lot of times I'll go to render an object buffer or something regular, standard render of a scene, and I'll fix it all, and then I'll hit render, but I forgot to change it from Octane to standard, and I'm like, oh crap, and then I cancel the thing, and then boom,
if
it's
I
down.
actually have a whole bunch of Octane materials in there, and I hit render and it's on the standard one, I want to say sometimes it crashes on me when I hit render.
Not surprising.
Yeah. Anyway.
So,
So Octane 3 is pretty good for the most part.
Instance.
No, go ahead.
Instance textures and render settings. This is something interesting that I haven't quite tracked down yet. But what I will do sometimes is I'll take an instance, and I want to do an instance of something, say 10 times, but I want them to be different colors. Well, if your master object is, say, red,
Doesn't have a texture on one thing.
Well, no, if your master texture is red, all your instances are going to be red.
Right.
No matter what you put on the instances, it's still going to be that red like the master. If you want to have each one a different color, you just put nothing on the master and you put the textures
on the instance.
On the instances. Well, there's something about if you are doing your render settings one way or the other, like where you tell it to check materials or not check materials, where it will or will not work. It's really weird. Like it will look right in the viewport, but then you go to render and it doesn't work. And I think it has to do with check materials on render or what's the other thing? Not check materials, but recalculate the difference from one frame to the next on animation or whatever. Something funky going on there to where like it will work one way, but it won't work the other way. So if you have to go down that road, that's a possibility of what the problem is there. So I know that's super obscure, but some people probably have to deal with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't normally change a lot of tech. I don't run into that problem a lot about having to change different instance textures.
Well, the reason that it came about is because I was doing one of those really big renders and nothing animated in the scene until like frame 200. So I'm like, I don't want it to sit here and calculate geometry every single time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
200 frames. So I'm like, okay, I'll do the first 200 frames and tell it to not calculate. And I did that. And then these shirts on the rack that I had, and that was coming out with all these shirts on them, were black instead of white. But then when I went back and I told it to calculate the animation from one frame to another, then they were white like they should have been. So then I had to go back and actually render the first 200 frames with calculating geometry for every frame.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And let's see, Octane lockups, we talked about that. Disabling the web driver. So
yeah, what is this?
This is something that came up with P Diddy. He was trying to fix an After Effects issue.
Okay.
And he went into the web drivers for NVIDIA card because he had an Octane monster he was working on. And you know, if you don't have those drivers, your machine will not come up.
Correct.
At all. So he was messing with stuff, and he's like, well, let me just disable the web drivers and see if that happens, if that works.
No.
Now, let me tell you, it is not just disabling within the system.
Jeez.
Like, it is a massive, massive, horrible thing to do. So if you have NVIDIA drivers, do not ever turn it off. Because what happens is it tells something inside the card not to activate those web drivers, and it will not turn back on. Like, you have to take the card out, put it in another machine, and boot it up and turn the web drivers on, or whatever you have to do, or just boot it up in the other machine and then take it out and put it back. It was
now, is this only on the
ordeal.
Monster Max, or is this on PCs as well?
Well, it's only on the Monster Max because the PCs have default NVIDIA drivers.
Yeah.
You know, or something that'll at least get the card off the ground until you can get the good drivers installed.
Yeah.
And so
here's something that's weird on this, because I just cloned my computer hard drive or whatever and threw it in my laptop. It's running off of NVIDIA drivers. Like, it turned on using the NVIDIA drivers, even though I'm not using an NVIDIA card on my laptop.
Are you sure it's not an NVIDIA card on your laptop?
Oh, it's not an NVIDIA card. If it was an NVIDIA card, I'd be able to run Octane.
That's right.
It's like bottom of the line. It's weird. Anyway, go ahead.
I think they can be there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not compatible, it will still use the default ones. It's when you were the other way.
Yeah, but like if you go up to the little eyeball thingy, it says that it's using the NVIDIA WebDriver.
Yeah, but I think if they're on,
mm-hmm.
even if you don't have an NVIDIA card, it doesn't matter because like it's got them both loaded.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if you have an NVIDIA card, you can't run both. Like if you had if you have to have NVIDIA for it to even work.
Interesting. Anyway.
So another thing that I noticed that's a possible glitch. I need to check this in 3, but it's like this in Octane 2, is that if you do an HDR, let's say you're doing a sky, and you put an HDR on it. If you want to adjust the contrast, brightness, color, or whatever of that HDR that you put in there, and you add a color correct node, it messes with your scene big time.
I know.
It creates noise.
You know what? No, I've actually I will throw an HDR into a scene and I will do a color correction node or whatever, and it never works for me.
No, it screws things up. And I did one with basic text one time, and I just wanted to darken the HDR that was reflecting on this really simple basic text, but it took it from being 128 samples to having to render like at 2048 samples to get all of a sudden these little dots, specks, started appearing all over everything. Is there something about putting color correct on an HDR? Don't do it. Yeah,
I used to do that. I would do that in the standard renderer where I would take HDR4, the interior wine room scene or whatever, and I would always turn it to black and white.
Yeah.
And I can't do that in Octane. Like, I can't just take my scene, throw a color correction, bring down the saturation. It just doesn't work.
Right.
Stupid.
Yeah. And you told me, I had never really used this before, but you told me about static noise. And I was, I've seen static noise before in my options, and I never really looked into what it was. And I thought that it meant you click that button to add static noise, like static, not like static as in like, standing still static.
Right.
But I thought it was like static, like moving static. And it's the opposite of that.
No. Yeah. Like standing still noise.
Yeah. So if you have a scene and it's got a little bit of noise in it, like if you have some sort of bump or some specular that's kind of putting off a little bit of noise.
Yeah.
And maybe your samples aren't that high, but it's okay that there's a little noise, you'll get a lot of movement in that noise unless you check the static noise button, which you taught me that this week, and that's was helpful.
Yeah. I use static noise all the time. I've had to use it when doing a lot of specular stuff. Like, specular materials just give you a lot of noise. Like, anytime I would be doing like a phone spin or something, like for a Microsoft phone or something, I'd get a lot of noise in the glass on the screen. And so I'd have to throw in that static noise one.
And something that you did in that same scene, actually, was you were having the paint on the walls kind of paint on, like just kind of wipe on.
Yeah.
Well, my method of doing it is I just make another wall that is like 0.01 closer to the camera, and I just have the whole wall just kind of wipe on. And you were doing it using textures.
Yeah.
And which is fine. It's a fine way to do it. The problem is what happens in Octane is if you have your even if you don't have your viewer window on and you're moving through anything that has animated textures in it, the whole entire cinema and viewport will slow down because every time you skip through the timeline, those things have to update in the material editor down at the bottom, and they'll sit there and so I was going through your scene doing some adjustments, and every time I would scroll through, like all those things were like slowly like updating every time I clicked through.
Ugh.
And I don't know if there's a button you can uncheck, like the show animated.
Yeah. I don't know.
That'll make that stop happening, but that is an annoyance.
Yeah. Just copy it to another scene and then just delete it. Then put it back in once you're done. That's what I do.
Yeah. And you also had a note about render farms.
Yeah.
I think it had to do with the render farm service, right?
Yeah, I just ran into some issues with using some render farms this past week. I've never used them in the past, and so I just did a quick chaos group, saw who they recommended for render farms.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can find the one that I was using. It's like a horse or something like that.
Is it the one you were tweeting at this week?
Yeah, Ranch Computing. That's who it was.
Yeah.
So I tried using Ranch Computing just because it's the first one. You assume the first one is going to be great, And here's the thing, like, I'm fresh and new to this. I've never used it before. So I had a certain expectation for render farms, or at least for this one, and it's not how it turned out. So, like, what I really want to do with a render farm, I want to be able to, just like I would have a render farm at home, I throw it to the farm, it starts rendering immediately, and then I get back my project, okay? But that isn't necessarily what happened. So I threw like $10 onto this Ranch Computing render farm, and I threw up a project, and it took like an hour and a half before I got the project back, before I got it rendered, And so I paid the higher amount. You can see who all is using it, how many people are using it. I paid the higher amount to make sure that I'm first in line.
Mm-hmm.
And it sat there for 30 minutes just waiting, for I guess computers to unrender or something, or to be free or something. So it's like, and they've, from what I understand, they had to, I don't know, the computers needed to be free up in order to start going on mine. But it's like, half an hour, really? Half an hour? Mine sat there at the top of the list for half an hour.
The top of the list for half an hour.
For half an hour, yeah, waiting for 30 computers to be free, right, so that it can start rendering. And in the meantime, after about half an hour, someone threw theirs on top of mine, and paid more. And I'm like, that's just so crappy, And so theirs started rendering. So then I paid the absolute maximum amount in order to make mine go. And meanwhile, I'm on Skype with this guy, and I'm like, dude, I've been sitting here for half an hour waiting for this to happen. And he's like, oh, well, computers needed to be freed up. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but for half an hour, you would think if you're paying more money, it would immediately stop what they're doing there and move on to yours.
Are you saying freed up as in they're clearing caches, or they're waiting for another render to be done?
They're waiting for a render to be done, I guess.
Well, if one's already going,
yeah, I know.
You got to wait for the one that's already going.
But for half an hour? I don't know.
I don't know. What did they advertise as your time?
A minute.
A minute?
Yeah. Yeah, so like it's like, check your time, see how long it'll take, And so I'm checking my time. I'm saying it's going to take 2 hours on my machine to render. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, it'll take 1 minute. And sure enough, it did take 1 minute once it finally got there after an hour and a half.
So in that time, you could have just done it yourself.
Exactly. I totally could have, And it's like, we've got this freelancer who keeps on throwing stuff to the render farm, to another render farm, because we decided to go with Rebus farm or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so and it's taken an hour to render this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I can render these in 15 minutes. What's the point of using a render farm? Yeah. Especially when we got to wait all the time. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, I ran into that, and the guy at Ranch Computing was just kind of a jerk to me. I put in $10. I wanted to do a test, and he's like, and on the website it says if you're going to do this, it shouldn't cost that much. And he's like, well, I don't think you're going to have enough money in order to do this. Okay. Well, if I don't, then I don't, and I'll put some more money on there to do this test. And so then I said, well, I guess I didn't understand how this works. Maybe I'll try another render farm. And he goes, well, you're not going to find one as fast and as cheap as this one.
Well, maybe we'll call those guys up who kept hitting us up on Twitter.
Right. I actually tried them too. I did try them.
And?
The drop and render or whatever. I tried drop and render, and I want to say it just didn't work for me. Like it was, I can't remember. It just like I think that one. Yeah, no, that one took 2 hours on a 15-minute render. What on my side it would be a 15-minute render. Yeah, it took 2 hours because it's the same type of thing where you throw it up there and you have to wait.
So the wait time is longer than the render time.
The wait time is longer than the render time, and that doesn't make sense to me. You know, in Ranch Render Farm they had 500 servers. Wow. You know, I don't know. So anyway,
that's a tough thing, man. I imagine that's crappy. A tough business to run.
Here's what's crappy. Like, it's fine. That's my mistake. You know, I'm just trying to figure this stuff out. But then the guy at Ranch Computing refunded my money, which I thought was weird because I didn't ask for that at all. You know, refunded my money and in the comments said refund due to not understanding or not reading how the thing works or something. I'm like, well, that's a really like a-hole way of doing things.
Should give him money back.
Yeah.
Pay him again. Paying you for being a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it was a really, what's the word? What's the phrase?
Being a jerk, minus 1,000,000 points.
It was a super passive aggressive way of saying,
yeah,
you know,
that our website doesn't explain in detail enough.
Right.
But you should know.
Right. I don't know. Okay. So whatever. I didn't ask. I literally did not ask for money back. I just said, okay, well, I'll try another render service.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to find one that's cheap and as fast as this one.
Don't be
okay.
Well,
Rebus was actually just as cheap, but not any faster.
Don't be passive aggressive to people. You never know when they have a podcast with a lot of listeners.
Yeah. With thousands and millions of listeners.
1,000 maybe.
Maybe 1,000. I hope we have 1,000.
We have about 1,000, I think.
Cool.
Between the regular podcast and YouTube.
It's funny. I was looking
Vimeo.
at our numbers the other day, and have you noticed the podcast on YouTube gets almost the exact same amount of hits every time?
Yeah.
It's like 84.
It's probably all bots.
It's funny.
Yeah. I don't think it is, though. We get a lot of people who actually will comment on, you know, from time to time on the podcast on YouTube. I think people are watching it. Actually, I know people are watching it. Unlike when you look at like podcast numbers and you can't tell how much of it was listened to at YouTube, you can see like people are listening to like the whole episode.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
good.
When you
That's really
compare
good.
our, you know, people do. I understand with tutorials, like if I do a tutorial or I need to figure out how to do something, I'll get to a tutorial. I'll skip forward to the part I want to see. Skip around, figure it out, and I'll
skip
turn it
the
off.
whole, hey, what's up, bros? Welcome to another program. You just skip forward.
The thing is, when it's a podcast, it's different because people want to listen to the whole thing for the audio content and just for the content itself, not to learn how to do something in 3D. So if you look at our numbers on YouTube, as far as attention span, like viewer attention span, it's pretty crazy. When you look at you see these pegs and it's like, oh, that's because it's a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, number of hours listened to, over 9,000.
That's funny.
So
I get that reference. Oh, Spider-Man's going to be in the new Avengers, or the new whatchamacallit. Man, they just need to start calling them Avengers. They just need to call them Avengers movies. What's the point of calling it like Captain America?
Captain America.
You know, it's all the Avengers.
No, there's some weird legal stuff going on with that. And I don't know. It's crazy.
But Spider-Man's in it. Did you see
Ask
Spider-Man?
Andy and Notco. I don't know.
Did you see Spider-Man?
No, because I know that there was a trailer that came out, but I didn't watch it. I haven't seen the Avengers. I haven't seen Captain America. I haven't seen any of the superhero movies, pretty much, except all the Spider-Mans and the Batmans.
Okay, so you're all right.
I need to see
enjoy
them.
that.
It's not my fault. It's that nobody wants to watch them with me.
I'll watch them with you. I'll come over. We'll make a weekend of it.
All right, I got the theater room all set.
Cool. My wife will be out of town for Easter weekend.
Should find the 3D. I'll be out of town for Easter weekend too.
So I'm gonna be all by myself on Easter weekend.
Yep. No, not on Sunday. I'll be there Easter night.
No, but Spider-Man's in this new one, you know, and like as soon as I saw it, he looks like super cheap CG. Like really cheap, flat CG.
Is he CG?
Yeah, he is. Oh yeah, he was. At least
the whole
just from
Spider-Man?
the scene. Just from the scene. They only show him for like 3 seconds so people can like be like, "Oh, it's so great. Oh, Spider-Man, and now I really want to see it."
Maybe it's like an early render or something.
That's what I was thinking, and my cousin posted it online, and I was like, I really hope this is just an early render because he looks awful. But from what I hear, it's supposed to be a shout out to like Silver
Surfer.
No, what is it? Silver Time Spider-Man. What's the phrase called?
No idea what you're talking about. I'm not a comic book guy.
You know how you have like the Silver Age Silver Age Spider-Man. Wow. Well, you've got Iron Age, you got Silver Age, you got New Age. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Bah. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Anyway, it's different ages. Like at a certain point, I think they like start doing the whole Marvel universe over again, and then
reboots
like it's a new
and such.
age. Yeah, like you've got the Iron Age, the Spider-Man, and then you've got the man. You can make me look.
I
this
understand
up.
Reboot because that's relatable because it's
right.
something computers. But other than that,
Silver Age comics. Okay, you got the Silver Age of comics. Tell me about all the ages. Here, I'm going to do comic ages.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, okay. Comic historians divide the history of American comic books into ages. These eras include the Golden Age, which is 1938 to 1950, the Silver Age, 1956 to 1970, the Bronze Age, 1970 to 1985, and the Modern Age. So Silver Age Spider-Man, supposedly it's like a shout out to him. But I think it just looks cheap. I think he looks cheap and like not well done. So, but that's just me.
It's from the Golden Age.
Speaking of comic book movies.
The Silver Age. The Golden Age. The Golden
I saw Ant-Man
Age
this weekend. I was wondering if you were going to make the joke or whether I was. I figured I'd be the bigger man and just not make the joke.
Yeah, but it's funny.
Right. So anyway, I saw Ant-Man this weekend. It was awful. It was so bad. And he's in the new movie too.
And he's a comic book character?
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's been another episode of Brograph
Brograph Comic Cast. This is
Do you like
thing.
Comic books?
Yeah.
Do you like talking about it with your friends who don't understand comic books?
This is why I can't listen to Andy Anatko, and this is why there are some episodes of Back to Work that I listen to, but I just don't relate to at all because they go into comic books for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I just don't understand any of it. I don't get any of it.
Sorry.
I mean, I try. I just,
Yeah, I mean, I don't read a lot of comic books, but, I know all the characters. Man, I grew up watching the X-Men cartoon and collecting X-Men cards and stuff like that.
I watched the cartoon, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Ding. So, the other Octane big thing was the VentureBeat article that came out about the Otoy breakthrough that lets game developers run the best graphics software across platforms.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically saying that they figured out however they can do native code so it will run on CUDA and it will run on like Fire Pro.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Which is awesome. That means it will run in a trash can because trash cans are Fire Pros, right?
Yes,
I think they are. And
yeah, you've got different versions of the Fire Pro, I believe, that you can buy. It's like the 100, 300, and 700 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure whether that's right.
No, but they've been saying that that this was going to happen. But now that this article is out, I'm guessing it means that it's finally done. Yeah. That it's finally. Yeah. So maybe this is something they were trying to get going in order for Octane 3 to be released. I'm hoping that something's going to come out like, I don't know, around the time of NAB, so we can see. I don't know.
Yeah, hope so. I really hope so.
Stardock's newest tech will let you will let you mix AMD and NVIDIA video cards in a PC. I don't know why, but you were noticing a lot of Octane-ness on Twitter this week too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all they were talking about is basically this one article.
But what I don't get about this article is that everybody knew this was coming. Why is it? Is it because VentureBeat wrote it? Is it because it's actually a done thing now?
I don't know.
being able to do CUDA and OpenCL.
I mean, that's kind of a big thing, you know? I mean, they're basically reprogramming all their stuff and keeping CUDA exactly the way it is, you know?
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting.
But it works for video game software too, because now you can have video games. They're even talking about the possibility of like Xbox and PlayStation running Octane, like a version of Octane for video games that's like, you know, real-time rendering.
Yeah.
So it's super cool.
Very cool.
I'm just hoping that this means they're closer to releasing Octane 3 for reals.
Yeah, I know. You know, and V-Ray hasn't updated their stuff yet either. I keep on seeing all the stuff on the Facebook, but it's like, come on, V-Ray? V-Ray for C4D? I feel like we've been talking about this for a year now.
I know. And it's one of those things where it's almost like they were in a race to see who could get to certain things faster. And now that they've just pre-announced it, that means that they've won the battle of who could get there first.
Right.
So it doesn't matter when it comes out because it's already been announced.
Right. Just crappy.
Yeah,
because they announced it just shortly after last year's NAB, right?
I think so. But here's the thing. Yes, they can work on different architecture, right? But think about, remember back in the day, we had a render farm, and we had Intel processors inside of our Macs, and we would make them go to a render farm with a bunch of PCs with AMD processors upstairs. Now, all was well and good most of the time, except if you didn't bake physics. You remember what would happen?
I don't remember.
If you didn't bake your physics, then
you get weird textures or something?
No, you would get different results because of the different architectures. Physics are actually calculated slightly different on different architectures. So you would say you had a bunch of shiny balls and they were falling from the ceiling and landed on the floor. If you team rendered those from your Mac up to a bunch of PCs, then all the PC frames that came back would look different than the Mac ones. So you would actually have to bake and do like a cache of your physics on the Mac first before you send it upstairs to render farm. And I'm wondering now if, you know, you could take a project, you could open it, say you built it in NVIDIA with CUDA on Octane, and say you open it on FirePro machine on like a Mac trash can and you render it there, it's going to see it fine. But I'm wondering, like, what happens when you render half of it on CUDA, half of it on OpenCL, and then you try and combine the two together? Are you going to have different results because they're different architectures? Like, are the calculations going to be slightly different? Maybe not even.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say with from what they were talking about with the I mean, it's not like you're changing CUDA, you know, you're just they found a workaround to where it will work,
right? And
they're keeping CUDA. It's almost like you're using CUDA with AMD. I don't know if that even makes sense at all. I don't think that does.
I don't quite understand it. Hopefully we'll see some of these guys.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm really
NAB.
hoping. I'm hoping at NAB they'll be there because they weren't there until like what, Thursday last year? Or
the
Wednesday?
day we left.
Yeah, but we're gonna be there all week. Oh, geez, all week.
Oh, man. See, that's why we need to do podcasts and stuff at night, because, like, we can get away from the casinos and stuff for a little bit.
Gambling.
Because I don't know if I can take a week of that.
Yeah, I know.
All the shiny bells and whistles and beeps and bloops.
Yep. Beeps and bloops are the worst. Man, it's so funny. Like, when I got back from NAB last year, I swear... while I was working, all I would hear was bing, ding, 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 dong, ding, ding, you know?
Yeah.
For like a week and a half straight.
Oh, man, it gets in your head. It drives me crazy. I have to walk away from it at times.
The second you walk off the plane, that's all you hear.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
So, Lester Banks posted a cool video. It's just an animation. It's called The Last Job on Earth. And it's just a cool video. I just thought I'd link to it. It's good motion graphics. Or not motion graphics, but good animation. So that's in the links. It's just good. And now, email social. We had Matt Gerard actually tweeted us a picture of his RM850. He's doing an Octane monster.
Ah, yeah. Oh, this is pretty.
Paul Robinson retweeted our podcast last week, but he added a hashtag that I thought was funny, because remember we were talking about we can't call ourselves bronies.
Right.
So he actually used the hashtag broG.
Okay. I like that.
G, like a broG.
Word.
So that's a possibility, because we keep talking about what do we call ourselves. All right, and then we got somebody on YouTube was looking at our Octane and stuff and wishing they had $400 right now. I was like, dude, just save it up, do it, man, live the dream. And let's see, Dave Richard6 said, "Hey, Brograph, I see you're using a Mac. I have the new Mac Pro 12 core with the D700 and 64 gig of RAM. I bought this computer because I wanted to dive deeper into cinema, but stay with Mac. To be honest, not too thrilled with the output compared to my friend's PC. What is your setup?" And so I sent him a link to our Octane monsters, because honestly, I would rather build a whole bunch of Octane monsters than get the new Mac trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, until...
I mean, it's cheaper.
Yeah, and until you can get the Fire Pro working with Octane, then, you're kind of SOL.
Yeah.
Then we had also...
Nothing. I'm just thinking out loud. Sorry. I wonder if you could use a trash can with a laptop and run, the trash can on the laptop and using the laptop monitor as a monitor, Because a trash can would be pretty portable.
True.
But they have to get it to work first.
Well, you could screen share to it.
That might be too much.
Pete last week had sent us an email, I think even during the show, talking about the, getting a 2008 Mac and trying to do Octane and having problems with it just shutting off and all of that stuff. And I said, that's a little early. And so I sent him an email actually tonight and said, hey, because I hadn't gotten back to him, and I was like, did you find anything out about it? What was the results or whatever? And he did end up getting an early 2009 Mac.
Oh, good.
It was a quad though. It's not a.
That's okay.
Core. But it'll still.
The thing is, it'll still run. It'll still run Octane. Once you Monster Mac it, and really you
don't need the processors. You're not going to render CPU. So
exactly. So
yeah, that
I don't know. I've been curious about that. Whether you could take a quad core machine and just run it for your basic necessities and run Octane efficiently. Like
a render node.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. He said he got that 2009 quad off of eBay for $200.
Oh, my gosh. That's awesome. Dude, we should buy one just to test it out.
Yeah. Yeah, he said he started doing the same. Oh, he said it started doing the same thing as before until he changed the RAM, and now it's smooth.
Interesting.
Also ended up getting a better power supply, a 1000i.
Oh, jeez.
That's overkill.
Yeah.
But, and powering both cards from it. You could do the 850 is a good. I wouldn't go lower than 850.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't either.
But the one thing that he did say is I didn't do the earth part with the wire. I'm guessing he means the ground.
Right.
But it seems to be running smooth. Do you really need to ground the power supply? I said, no, you don't have to, but you're going to get audio hum.
Yeah.
Especially with third-party cards.
I don't know if this is because of my Monster Mac or whether it's just messed up running cables or something. When I turn on my lights upstairs in my office, my speakers pop.
Oh, I get stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
Even before I octaned out the system or whatnot, I would get, in fact, I get less of it now that I've kind of redone everything and regrounded than I did before. I used to unplug my Firewire box and it pops really loud. And then you start getting all sorts of AM transmissions through it, and weird things that happen. On my security system, I'd see the neighbor turn on the garage light and I would hear a buzz go in my speakers, and we're not even in the same house.
Weird.
Grounds are a sensitive thing.
Yeah.
And, audio is a sensitive thing to ground. And so that's why I'd recommend that. In fact, one of the Octane installs that I did a couple of weeks ago, somebody called me up and they said, hey, I'm getting a hum in the audio. And I was like, oh, we didn't rip the grounds off.
Nice.
We had done the grounding, but we hadn't ripped the ground off of the plug itself. So it was still technically grounded two ways. I said, just rip that ground off and you'll be fine. And it worked.
Huh.
So,
Interesting.
You don't have to do that part, but it really will help.
Yep. Here's a quad core for $260.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah. You want me to buy it?
No. No. We have to be able to buy, $1,400 worth of video cards.
That's
before
true.
We do it.
That's true.
So, okay, here's what I wanted to do, though. I apologize for being busy, and I haven't gotten back to everybody as fast as I could have, but we need more email. We were getting so much email for a while there. It seems like it slowed down last week. So this is our request for emails and comments, questions, ideas. Nothing's too dumb. Nothing's too crazy. It's like just anything that you want to talk about, send it into the show. If you want to hear topics, like certain topic ideas, we'd love to get topic ideas because
totally,
we got to come up with stuff sometimes, and it's hard. I think we went off to the business thing for a little bit because we have been doing a lot of Octane stuff. We came back around to Octane this week. I'd like for us, maybe we could come up with some other things now because we've got 24 episodes under the belt, and
heck yeah,
we could start running out of ideas. So let's crowdsource it a little bit. Let's get tweets, Facebook messages, or whatever it takes to get some more ideas. We might go back on Reddit and ask for another round of ideas as well. So
word.
Yeah. So if you can too, please rate us on iTunes and leave a review. Do you want to do our weekly check and see
Already
if we
did.
Did we get anything?
Nope, nothing this time.
Aw. Well, we need some of those, so please put a review out there for us and rate us because that really gets us up there in the charts. I need to look at our keywords on something because if you type Cinema 4D into iTunes, you don't get any all
Really?
the results were not in there at all, which is weird. I gotta figure that
weird.
out. Yes, and subscribe to the podcast if you're just listening to the audio, or maybe you're listening on YouTube. Subscribe to the audio. Even if you aren't going to listen through audio, you're going to keep listening on YouTube. Just do that so you can help us out in the ratings a little bit and get the word out for us. You can say you've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, no Brograph, no Mograph tee. You can order that, support the show, and order that to wear to NAB as well. If you're going to be out there, buy you a drink if we see you wearing one. I accidentally ripped mine this week, and I was super pissed.
Oh, I can't believe you. That's awful.
Yeah, I guess it's possible. I had some clothes on the floor. I was staying in a guest house, and there was a dog, and he kind of messed with some of my stuff, and I think he may have put like a small hole in the shirt. So I went to put it on, and when you put on a shirt, like your arm goes to a certain point where you're putting it into the sleeve. Like my hand went right to that mini hole and went right through it. And I have like a fist size hole. I'm like, of all my shirts in the world that don't have a fist size hole in them, it has to be the Brograph one.
That's funny.
So I'm going to have to order another one.
Way to go. You may have to do a special price for, for a couple days just so you can get a special discount on
we
yours.
get the money back.
Yeah.
Technically, but so at NAB, if you're going to be out at NAB, we've had a couple people say they wanted to hang out. We need to figure out a venue for which us all to communicate. And I'm not sure exactly what that will be.
I want to start a Slack group.
I don't know. It seems like a lot of rigmarole. Could we do a Facebook group? Would that be easier to do messages and such, group messages?
Maybe. Yeah. Do you want to start a Facebook group?
Maybe, something. I don't know.
If you guys like us on Facebook, we could just give a shout out. Hey, this is where we're going to be. come hang out with us.
Yeah, we might do that. I mean, there's not like a million people coming anyway that are going to hang out with us. But
really, Twitter is where everyone we've been communicating with. So we could just give a shout out on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll find you. I'm sure we'll probably see you at the Maxon booth before we tweet out. So
totally.
That's it.
We only had one person recognize us last year. I want to double that this year.
2 people.
Two people.
And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course, YouTube and Brograph.com. And I think that's all the places we are.
Yep.
And subscribe on YouTube too, please.
Yeah, totally. All right, cool. And did you give the email address?
Brograph
at brograph.com?
Yes.
Sweet.
That's it. Send those emails out. And until next week, have a good one.
Awesome. Thanks, bros.
It's pretty good, I guess. Brograph.com, an online resource for learning critical components of Cinema 4D and After Effects, specifically catered to help you prevail as a motion graphic designer.
What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph motion graphics tutorial.
We give you professional time-saving tips, shortcuts, and lessons that help give you an edge over your fellow designers. Not only this, but our new Brograph Talks help you in your file management, hardware configuration, and client relations.
I love projects that scare me. When our art director comes to us and asks for something that I had never done before, man, it gets me pumped.
Join us for live sessions, check out our crazy Cinema 4D experiments, or just watch our Fun with Brograph series, where we show you practical applications for techniques learned in previous tutorials. Do this from the beginning, and your client is going to respect that, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to respect your time. Subscribe today and get automatic updates on the latest tutorials, tricks, tips, and inspiration brought to you by industry professionals Dave Koss and Matt Milstead, all with a slight dash of dry humor peppered in. Real nice banana.
Brograph.com, your source for tutorials that will help you thrive in the motion graphics industry. Don't just play around with Cinema 4D and After Effects, master it, and make money by becoming indispensable at your workplace.
We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here. Subscribe now to Brograph Tutorials. It's pretty good, I guess.